college game day game. Kentucky at Auburn. We don't have a point spread yet. I hate to say it, Kentucky fans. My guess would be that Kentucky probably will enter this game as a double figure underdog. And let me start by saying this. A couple things stand out about this game. First of all, Kentucky, credit where it's due, man. Listen, I know everybody wants to rip apart Cal, and I include myself. I was very critical last weekend coming out of that Gonzaga game. But they needed a win against Ole Miss on Tuesday night. I guess it was. I think it was Tuesday night. We did the immediate reaction. They needed the win on Tuesday night. They get the win on Tuesday night. But I think more importantly than that they got the win, it's how they got the win. Now, Ole Miss isn't an elite team by any stretch of the imagination, but Kentucky needed to step up defensively after the debacles against certainly Tennessee. I would argue, I don't think Gonzaga was quite as bad solely because Kentucky was without one of their most important big guys in Trey Mitchell. And so in that game, that was the game where you really needed Trey Mitchell. You didn't have him. But to Kentucky's credit, you were on a 3-game home losing streak. You had lost 3 of 4 overall, and you just got the win that you absolutely needed. And it was in large part on the defensive end. You hold Ole Miss to 37% 37% from the field, 22% from the 3-point line. That was the defensive effort that you needed. Now you come into this game playing well, off a win. You have won 2 out of 3, so you have that going for you. But what I'll also say, Auburn is the toughest environment that they will have played in all year. Now, listen, I have been to Bud Walton Arena this year. It is as good as any venue in the country, and I'm sure it was as good as it was the night I was there for the Duke game, as it was when Kentucky was there a few weeks ago. But at the same time, what I will tell you, I've talked to coaches. I remember talking to a coach who's coached in the ACC, the SEC, and I believe the Big Ten as well. And I remember him telling me, he said point blank, when you go to Auburn, he said, when it's a big game and those fans are into it, that is as tough of a place to play as anywhere in college hoops. It's not a huge arena. It's small, but the fans are right on top of you. And Auburn is playing into it this year. Auburn has been incredible at home this year. You know, Auburn is the only SEC team that has not lost a single game this year at home all year. Even Alabama, leading the SEC. Well, guess what? They lost at home to Clemson earlier in the year. Tennessee lost at home to South Carolina. Kentucky, we know about their struggles at home, as weird as that sounds. So this is a tough place to play. Auburn's winning by 20-plus points. And it's interesting, too. It's not just that they're playing well at home. I think Bruce Pearl has done a good job of uniquely building a team that plays to the strengths of its home court. It was funny, on Wednesday or Thursday morning, I was on radio with my buddy Cole Kublick and Greg McElroy in Birmingham on Jocks. And I bring it up because we were talking about this game, previewing this game. And I said to the guys, I said, you know what Auburn this year with this home arena reminds me of? It's almost like the baseball team that builds their entire team around the strengths and the weaknesses of their ballpark. Okay, I'm not a baseball guy, but what I said at the time was like, you know, like there's certain stadiums, I think the old Yankee Stadium, maybe the new Yankee Stadium, they have like a short right field porch. And so you build a team with a lot of lefty pull home run hitters because the porch is short out there, or the left field porch, or in Colorado, you know, you build it on offense, not on pitching because of the altitude. Well, in college hoops, I feel like Bruce Pearl has kind of built a team that fits that building because the building is intimidating and that team is intimidating. You know, Auburn right now is number 2 in college basketball and field goal percentage defense. Only Houston is better. So when you're talking about statistically, you're only behind Houston in a defensive category. Love those Cougars, by the way. Neither here nor there, but I love those Cougars. But back to Auburn. When you build a team that defensively is only behind Houston, you know you're doing something right, and that's what Auburn is. And they're big, and they're physical, and they're tough, and they're mean, and you're playing in this crazy environment, and they're going to beat the crap out of you, and the refs are going to be afraid to blow the whistle, and I'm not criticizing Auburn. Auburn, it's a great team. Because every time I say this, Auburn fans think I don't like their team. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is they have built a team that fits that building. And so when I look at this game, I'll just be blunt. I think it's really tough for Kentucky. One, it's as tough of a place as you've played all year. Now, you did win at Bud Walton, credit where it's due. 2, They are a team that matchup-wise is as tough of a matchup for Kentucky as there can be. Kentucky, they want to get out, they want to run, they want to shoot threes. They're not a great rebounding team. What if they struggle with teams that aren't afraid to throw elbows down low? Whether it was Tennessee a few weeks ago, South Carolina, they struggled to rebound against Gonzaga, 18 offensive rebounds for Gonzaga. Well, that's what Auburn does as well as anybody. Matter of fact, I'm going to look it up real quick. I would venture to guess Auburn, without knowing the stat off the top of my head, is one of the better offensive rebounding teams in all of college basketball. Let me look it up. By the way, if I'm proven wrong, it'll be live on air because I'm not redoing this segment. Let's take a look. Best offensive rebounding teams in college basketball. And guess what? Auburn isn't as good as I thought. Isn't that some great radio right there? So that's good news, Kentucky fans. So Auburn ranks 81st nationally in offensive rebounds. They average 11 per game. And so, by the way, Gonzaga only averaged 11 per game coming in as well. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's a tough matchup for Kentucky. And I think beyond that, this is the important part. Kentucky might be without Trey Mitchell. I'm recording here late on Thursday night. Stuff can change. I get it. But as of right now, we don't know if Trey Mitchell is going to play. I think he's the one guy outside of Agana and Yenso that you can't afford not to have in this game because they are so big and so tough down low with Janai Broome and Jalen Williams. Interestingly, this game also has big-time SEC championship ramifications as well. Alabama right now has 2 losses. They're ahead in the loss column. Obviously, if Auburn wants to compete for an SEC title, they probably pretty much have to win this game. They're 1 game back in the loss column. They've already played Alabama twice, split with them. So Auburn is 1 back in the loss column, tied with Tennessee and South Carolina. Worth noting, Auburn just beat South Carolina. Auburn plays Tennessee this coming week, the 28th. So midweek game a few days from now. And so I just bring it up because if you want to win the SEC, Bruce Pearl said it, you want to win the SEC, this is a game that you absolutely have to win. For Kentucky, they already have 4 SEC losses. They are tied for 3rd in the loss column, but they have, let's see here. They have 4 teams ahead of them in the loss column, plus the one team that they're tied with is Florida, which they have split with this year. So Kentucky, if you want that double bye in Nashville, let's forget about the SEC regular season title, but if you want that double bye in Nashville, this is obviously a game you got to get. But with that said, I just think it is really, really tough to ask Kentucky to go to Neville Arena and get the win. And I think Auburn probably beats them pretty good. Kentucky fans, I could lie to you. I could pretend. I could say it's all going to be hunky-dory and everything's going to be amazing and blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's going to be that easy. Go ahead and give me the Auburn Tigers to win that game. I'll say final score. What do we say here in this one? We'll say final score 86-71. I respect Kentucky. I respect what they did having to go on the road to get that win. But man, oh man, is that going to be a tough arena.